Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and what I wanted to do today was cover a mining technique leveraging the Great Cat Rock that actually turns out to be fairly profitable. Now, the main reason I wanted to share this is because I've told you twice now that this vehicle isn't really capable of being a good money earner at the current state of the game. And since then, some PXP org mates have actually found a decent strategy on how to use this. Because of that, I kind of felt it was important to get this out to you guys, just to kind of clear my mind and say, look, okay, maybe it's not as bad as we thought. So here's the real issue with the rock right now. It doesn't appear that the rock is actually collecting 100% of the hand mineable shards after you break it. So when you break a rock, you have a lot of missed profits that aren't really counting in your favor. So your inventory on the rock basically just never really fills up at any significant pace, at least before a server crash happens. That being said, these are hand mineable rocks after all, and there is an interesting alternative that really best suits a group of like 3 to 5 people or so. And that's basically a group outing with somebody bringing a rock to break up the rocks, and the rest playing as either a scouting role or collecting them by hand. And when I say collecting, it's a hand mineable rock, which means that when you break it, you'll start seeing the shards of the mineral on the ground, and you pick them up by hand and you stow them in your personal inventory. Now, the approach that seemed to work pretty well for us was to have a Cutlass Red, which can store a rock, but more importantly, can give your mining team a respawn ICU at the mining site should something go wrong. If you're wearing the rucksack and you've picked up rocks, they are going to stay in your personal inventory, and if you die and respawn, your personal inventory is still in place. So it's a helpful approach, not only for losing progress, but also in case you run out of food or water, you can just suicide and respawn and you're all good to go. Maybe not the most immersion-filled process, but it is effective. Aside from the Cutty Red, the other ships are really entirely at your discretion, but smaller ships that fly fast and are better in atmosphere are probably going to be better bets because they're going to be acting as scouts and will be helping to find the resources that you're going to be going to mine. Now, I will say that taking a ship like the 300 versus the Buccaneer may be a better option because you've had the bed in there which will allow you to log off from the surface and server hop, but it's not a requirement at all. And considering all ships can scan for mineral resources now, it doesn't really matter what you bring. Operationally, all that plan to pick up the shards of minerals really just need to have is the personal inventory, but considering this process involves picking up many items and storing them, the rucksack is really going to be your best bet. You can bring along a mining tool if you want, maybe speed up the process if you find a lot of rocks, but at the end of the day, the Great Cat Rock does the mining so much better, it's not really needed to have that hand mineable tool. The way this process looked for us with about 4 players was this. We had a Cutty Black that was going to be the hauler for the rock in our group, so he ended up taking off and went to an outpost to pull the rock and get it loaded into the Cutty. The rest of the group, including myself in the Red and others in a 325 and a Buccaneer, went out to that same outpost and kind of fanned out and started searching for the mining nodes that we wanted to find. What you're looking for is really the only one that makes this fairly profitable is Hadanite. And in general, you want to find groups of 2 or more, but if you find a node that has 5 or more rocks, it's a pretty good jackpot. Once you locate the mining node that you want to work on, you call it out, and you have the rock delivered to your location. All the ships land, and while the rock gets unloaded and starts the mining, the players then set their ICU respawn to the Cutty Red. Once the Great Cat really breaks the Hadanite rock, it immediately starts mining the second node, while the other players go on foot around like a bunch of chickens pecking at corn, picking up the purple glass-like rocks from the surface and stowing them in inventory. Then you finish breaking the other deposits, and while the collections are underway by hand, you have the rock loaded back up and you start searching for more nodes. You basically do this until you have about 50 or more rocks in your inventory, determine where you're going to stop, and then you go back to an outpost or a port and sell those from the from the trading console, not the refinery. Now, as far as the profits are concerned, you'll make about 15,000 UEC for about 20 to 30 minutes of work, or about 60,000 an hour. Now, when you compare that to other jobs like chaining bounties together, which is slightly more profitable, or mining rocks from a prospector, which also makes more money in general, and trading really anything above scrap is generally going to make more money for you depending on your ship. Though with trading, you do have the risk of server instability or pirates or whatever, and you end up having to spend money to start your trading journey, which means that you're also taking a cut out of the profits if something crashes. So you may be asking, why not just do this all by yourself? Because you could load up a Cutty, load a rock, search for a group of nodes, mine them in the rock, get out and collect by hand, but the problem is the way that the inventory system works right now. Because it doesn't allow you just to pick up a rock, a rock, a rock, a rock, a rock, a rock. There's almost a cooldown on it right now. So the activity actually benefits from having multiple people picking up rocks together so you can get through the group and move on to the next sooner. what happens is you pick up a rock and you stow it, you pick up a rock and stow it, and then you almost get this like interaction error where you have to let it cool down. It's also helpful to have multiple scouts because sometimes you'll find good locations at the same time in different locations, and what you can do is actually just leave a ship and catch a ride with another player to the primary objective, because then you can use that ship as a marker, head back to that location once you're done with the better spot, and mine there. Also, with the profits, don't forget now in the game there's the money manager and the Moby Glass, which is basically going to allow you to send money to your friends. So if you keep track of the earnings that everyone makes, you can share the funds to even out the collections between all who participated. Or if you never have your rock driver get out to collect, you can really be a little bit faster, and then you can all share a portion of what you made with the rock driver after you're done with your efforts. Again, this isn't the most profitable option out there, but it is exciting and it is fun because it is team-oriented, and it has you scrambling between locations, mixing scouting, mining, trading, and just fun flying, all while communicating with a group and a new vehicle to the game. So it's worth trying with your friends or an organization, but if nothing else, it's at least kind of a new way to play, and it was enjoyable for us. So if you guys have any questions on any of this, please let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for a lot more coming your way soon. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.